Alrighty, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. Nice 10 o'clock Eastern on a Wednesday. And you better believe what we're doing is making some more Eliminator picks. This is obviously a format where we are adjusting to the news strongly. There's a lot of stuff that we got to do, which means that there's a lot of stuff that we got to do, which means there's a lot of work that we have to do with the rankings on a reasonably consistent basis. So we're going to start today since we have a little bit of time and we're not, like most days, having to do a pick within the first 5 minutes of the stream. I'm just going to go and update my ranks top to bottom for this contest format, starting after result, let's say. Because I don't think there's anyone who's still like worrying about their first round pick in the Eliminator. We're a bit past that at this point. Like, I'm gonna check my Eliminator that looks like it has the shortest, because that one's close. That one's close. And just see where it is and see if I can. So it's going to be this one, I think. We'll start there. So we'll start with ETN, basically. It's like, what are we doing with ETN? What's going on with that range of the draft? You can just go through the rest of our rankings around that. So it should be like ETN Jacobs. So, yeah, Jacobs is back at practice. So the secondary fall, I think, which didn't really happen as much as I thought it might, is like completely there, and you don't have to worry about it. I don't think. Travis Etienne could get a larger mold of Kamara versus Sky. No crap. Yeah, MCL sprain for Kamara. Like, he's old. He's injured. That's part of the ETN thesis is he may have some blockage, but he's going to be really good. Then we come down to this like tier of receivers: Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, Lyle McConkey, Jaden Waddle. And you have two number ones on a bad offense and a mediocre to good offense. And I guess a one on a mediocre to good offense. Like, I see Lyle McConkey and Jalen Waddle very, very similarly as like good receivers that have proven that they're good in the NFL, that are really interesting plays, but have like some external issues. Denver being in low scoring games and just like generally not being a fantasy friendly environment. And Ladd being kind of mocked by by Keenan Allen last year, and just having problems with that. And then T. Higgins, which is probably the most exciting number two in the game, in my opinion. Like, I get that we all love George Pickens. I'm grabbing my water. I'll be right back. I get that we all love George Pickens, and he was, the overall wide receiver 3 next year. But I think when Lamb is fully healthy, George Pickens is not quite as exciting as T. Higgins. Although I think he can pop off for more if Lamb gets hurt or there's something like that happening. So I feel pretty confident with this bunch of my rankings. I recently edited this Tootin Swift Montgomery Judkins Irving tier. And I'm considering putting T-Mac ahead of Judkins and Irving. I don't think I need to, because I don't really. I have a lot of T-Mac, and I don't really want to index more on it. It's another first round receiver, number one receiver, but like in a bad offense, like much closer to Garrett Wilson. But I'm not really as confident in his talent as I am for Garrett Wilson. Yeah, Kamara out for a month is like the MCL sprain obviously sucks. I think just with his age and history, the re-injury risk is also super high. So like, I've been really happy with my Travis Etienne shares, and I think I'm pretty comfortable just completely deleting Kamara whenever we get to him in the ranks for this contest. Like, there's plenty of other bets that you'd rather make than an injured Kamara when you're really focusing on week one. I think that this format just doesn't reward sticking with your priors on uninjured players. You have to move very quickly with the news. That's why you draft this slate, is so you can move quickly with the news. So you have, when it happens, you have to do it. Yeah, just so incredibly out on Josh Allen. If you're giving him to me, like close to where I want to take Lamar, I'll take him. But that hasn't happened yet, and that's I'm okay with that. This Evans thing seems to not the foot injury seems to not be a huge issue. The groin injury for Burden again. I don't have a super aggressive rank on Burden. I just sort of am like keeping a price floor on him because I think that the offense is going to be really, really talented and tailored to him. I'm shocked that Terry isn't falling more. I think it's more just like price anchoring effects and people not being willing to move on their priors as much as they probably should. But yeah, I'm still very much out on Terry. Like he hasn't really shown us like this like barely 1,000-yard season with extreme outlier touchdown numbers. Like it's just not something that I'm going to go crazy about. It just is completely antithetical to how I draft, to be like focusing on receivers that got there through an outlier high touchdown season. Then we're looking at Tyler Warren, had over 100 targets last year. Like looks really good. I think I'm comfortable with where these tight ends are. I'm getting a little bit curious about Travion and Jadarian Price. Like Price, the injury doesn't seem to be big. You know, but it's hard for me to be super in on Price when I am just so incredibly in on George Holani. Like, especially in this contest format, like Holani, I think is a phenomenal pick. It's also hard for me to be on Travion when, it looks like it's going to be very unpredictable between him and Ramondre. I think the actual like detriment of that is like moving Ramondre down, because Travion can like siphon off work and like have a couple of like nice spike weeks, but just not be a player that you want in your lineup week in and week out. Just sort of where I want to be drafting him. So maybe like put Travion behind Tyler Warren, put Ramondre down. Currently behind Jalen Warren, but Jalen Warren, let me tell you, is going to get nuked a little bit. Parker Washington's team is hard to ignore, but I have a hard time putting him above Tate. Just because I really am excited about these rookies that managed to stay healthy. And I think that that's a good place to be, is right around this like Travion, like behind Terry, ahead of, Brian Thomas. I'm also going to lower, not a lot, but just enough that I am legitimately getting scared on his route participation rate. So, yeah, I just have to move him down. Jalen Warren, like there's been a lot of talk about Jalen Warren not being the lead back, about Rico being more the 1A in this split. Now, I understand that Warren catches passes, but it's not like Rico has bricks for hands either. So I think my ranking on Rico's already been relatively aggressive. I think if I was going to do anything, it'd be sort of like this. Like put a little tier break in the quarterbacks to say, I'd rather have Jalen Warren over Jalen Hurts just because of like the passing. And I still think it's more likely than not that Warren does end up the 1A, but I don't want to be completely out and like poo-pooing news that is like relatively consistent. Jonathan Brooks. I think Jonathan Brooks needs to go back behind RJ Harvey. I think like we're talking about it like Chuba Hubbard isn't expected to come back at the beginning of the season. Which is part of the reason why I'm like, wait, no, I think I need to actually be taking some Chuba Hubbard still. Like maybe even over this like group of quarterbacks. Like be looking at Chuba Hubbard in the Rashad White JCM role because it's very similar. I think the JCM Rashad White stuff is just people are more confident on Jonathan Brooks slash being the lead back over JCM. So yeah, I feel pretty comfortable about that. I want to keep moving downs up, but with Keenan Allen siding, that forces me to be like, yeah, maybe not. So I'm going to keep him exactly where he is. Like I can move him behind this like group of running backs, but still above where it's like Josh Downs is the last person I'm like I am fine taking this guy, even when I have 0 quarterbacks over a quarterback in what I think is the nice quarterback pocket between Williams and Mahomes. Yeah, Gainwell needs to move down a little bit, I think. I think Diggs needs to move like closer to Worthy. I think I overestimated how much he was going to rise and wanted to be ahead of it. Now that he's not risen that much, I don't want to have just like a huge bag of Diggs. Kraft does not belong in the same conversation as those guys. I'll put him behind Kyle Pitts. And both these guys need to be ahead of Courtland Sutton. And Jackson Dart, frankly. Like Jackson Dart, it's not that different than Matthew Stafford, just because I'm now less confident on the Giants' offense than I was earlier. I think both Minnesota running backs need to move up. Put like Aaron Jones here, Jordan Mason, like in the middle of this QB run, maybe no, just right after the QB run. Or it's like, yeah, I do want to be taking more shots at these backfields as they become more and more condensed. As more and more I'm convinced that Devon Claiborne's not going to be anything, I need to push those guys up a little bit. Yeah, C-Riding and Common guys should not be in the same conversation. They kind of are. Wandale shouldn't be this low. Yeah, just put him right behind Mekhi Lemon. And again, Mekhi Lemon is not like he's got the hamstring stuff, so I moved him a little bit for that, but a lot of it is just I think Mekhi Lemon is going to be good, but like not necessarily going to be awesome. And I don't want to be having the like huge 25% bag I have with him right now with my rankings. Who I do want to have a huge bag of is Keenan Allen and Juwan Johnson. I have a feeling I'm going to be taking those guys a lot. Like Keenan, yeah, like truly Keenan versus Concepcion, like he's very much in this like Debo mold. I think I may have been a little hot on him, but like right around there is pretty good. Yeah, like I think I would rather have Algier straight up over Munga, and I think that's more about Munga needing to move down. I think I'd rather have Ty Spears straight up. Tyron Tracy. I'd rather have Keaton Mitchell over Kyle Munga right now. Yeah. He needs to be nuked. I think Algier should be going higher. I think Spears should be going higher. Yeah, and then we're in a bunch of receivers that I'm like kind of mad about. Isaiah Likely and Chikakonkwo. I think they belong with George Kittle. This is like I don't want to ever take these tight ends. I'm going to get 0% of them because anytime I could take them, instead I'm going to take Juwan Johnson. Man, that feels so high for Dontavian Wicks. It feels so high, but he's probably right. Yeah, again, it also feels really high. Tank Bigsby should be ahead. George Holani should be ahead of Dylan Sampson and Marshawn Lloyd. He should be closer to Woody Wicks. Like, because George Holani, like, is still trending towards being the week 1 starter in a number 1 offense. And Marshawn Lloyd is a backup with juice. Like, at least in this contest format, we can't be, like, looking at that so heavily. Like, I think Tank Bigsby, Marshawn Lloyd, and Dylan Sampson are much closer together. Yeah. I still haven't gotten really much Terrence Ferguson. Maybe I should just, like, have him here. Or, like, even, like, be looking at him when I'm taking Schultz as, like, a, hey, do I need juice or do I just need targets? Yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to get a ton of Jerry Jeudy. Alvin Kamara can be deleted from my ranks. Then we get into these like very buzzy wide receivers. Also, Michael Wilson. But this is after I moved him up substantially. Some of these tight ends. Some of these running backs. People are excited about Jaden Blue. Missed practice with shoulder injury. Curious. Ray Davis, I think I want to have higher. I think he belongs like with this Marshawn Lloyd, Dylan Sampson tier. Probably close to the Brian Robinson, Brandon Allen tier. Like I'm not as confident in his talent, but I am confident in his clear opportunity now. So I think he's good. I think Tyquan Thornton needs to move down. Right ahead of Samaje Perine. Again, I think Samaje Perine is going to be the line of players I consider draftable. Shadur Sanders is going to be getting outside of the Perine line. Duval, yes. And then these are the guys where I need to like, they weren't a part of my ranks, but I need to re-rank them somewhere because they're above the line. Keon's behind the line now with the injury stuff. I will continue to be the only person drafting Devontae Turpin. Mike Washington, yeah, definitely belongs in this like little range here. These are guys that like on the right team, I'll be fine drafting, but it's not super great. And then we have people that need to go above the Samaje Perine line. I think Najee Harris can also live right at the Samaje Perine line. Like Najee Harris and James Conner like feel very Samaje Perine to me. Seth McGowan, now that he's like the clear number 2 in Indy, or at least trending towards it, I think I like him around. Like I'd rather take him over Mike Washington, but Jenna Coleman and Jaden Blue is probably a bridge too far. Devon Claiborne is going to be let's say Devon Claiborne is now the Samaje Perine line because I'd take Samaje Perine over him, but I can envision a team where I'd take Devon Claiborne. Eli Raridan is going to be right in this. Like I think I actually like him over Stowers and Steek to produce this year. Go over Thornton. Yeah, just put him like right behind Tonjes. Should be good. Mason Taylor. We will put Mason Taylor firmly below the Devon Claiborne line, but like barely. So I can't see a team, but I'm not like completely out on the idea that there is a team. Devon Vele, I think is like actually a real receiver now. Yeah, Calvin Ridley is like a great comp, and like Cooper Kupp. Like I'd rather be taking these Camp Buzz guys over him, but he's definitely got targets in him. And then Kirk Cousins is going to be right there with Tua. And these tight ends again, I think are pretty set where they are. Germany set where they are. Pacheco set where they are. Great. So I think that's a pretty comprehensive rankings update. Went through all the possible relevant picks. I feel pretty good about where we're at with them now. And I'm going to probably go ahead and start fighting with Psychic about my ranks. Gosh, Kenneth Gainwell is still way high. Yeah, okay. I can see the argument of, do you really want Kenneth Gainwell over either of the running backs, like over Chris Rodriguez too? I think Chris Rodriguez is a bridge too far, but I'll put him right behind Aaron Jones. I'll put him right behind Wando Robinson. I'll put ahead of Michael Kyle. Like that. I think that's a fair compromise. That's a fair understanding. So the kick says Aaron Jones here with Kyler is pretty good. Started Walker, Etienne, Travion, J.K. Dobbins. I'm not sure if I need another running back yet. Receivers started Lamb, Rice, Downs, and we have Warren at tight end. I think it's receiver. I think Diggs is going to be better than Dobbs. It's better last year. Price could still be going up. I think we'll grab Diggs here. Here we started with Jacobs, Etienne, Harvey, JCM, Lamb, Jefferson, Watson, Diggs, Warren. Mahomes is top of my ranks, top of the kick, an 11 pick fall. Let's just grab him. Here we started 1-2-5. We started Daniels, Dobbins, White, Chase, Brown, Rashee Rice, T. Higgins, Luther Burden. This is Jordan Mason music, if I've ever seen it. We just need running back here. Even though it's week 6 bye, it's fine. I need running back points. And we have a running back that falls. So I grab it. Jaden Daniels has fallen 7 spots. And we have everything else really well covered. We have Gibbs, Tootin, Rico. That feels really good. Drake London, Zay Flowers, Mike Evans. Yeah, just give us those elite quarterback points here. Here we started 1-1-3-1 with Jaden Daniels, Cam Scatabo, Puka Nacua, Rashee Rice, Luther Burden, and Brock Bowers. Kick says QJ. Kick, I guess, is trying to get back in on QJ. I will not. I will not be doing that. I will instead be taking Jaden Reed as our 4th receiver there. Okay, Jordan Addison. We started Hurts, Bijan, Brees, Bucky, Rashee Rice, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Jordan Addison. Kick says, take yourself some Aaron Jones. Really? No Harold Fannin? I'm going to take Fannin here. I don't think it's time for a second quarterback, and I also don't necessarily want Mahomes with Rice a ton. I like Fannin. Spreads things out. Yeah, makes it feel good. So we started with Bijan, London, Rice, Waddle. And Bucky made it around the turn, so I think we take Bucky here. Just keeping those running backs not awful. I think we have to take ETN here. Like Walker, Lamb, Neighbors. ETN, I think, is very clear over Higgins, especially with the possibility of Kamara being, in a worse spot than he is now. Here we started Saquon, St. Brown, Flowers, McConkey, Watson. I'd normally be Warren over Travion. I think this is a time where I should be clicking that Travion button. We need running backs. Just desperately. And it's an 11 pick fall. Like, if you're not taking a guy after 11 pick fall, what are you doing? Here we had Bijan, Brees, Bucky, Jordan Mason, Nico Collins, Tet McMillan, Marvin Harrison, DK Metcalf. This feels like an eliminator-ass team. Kick says it's Kyler Murray time. I think this is probably fine for Jordan Mason. With Jordan Mason to grab the quarterback, I can understand that. I'm not going to do it, I don't think. I think if I'm going to do the Minnesota correlation, it's going to be with Jordan Addison. I think that's what I would be doing. Gamewell buzz has been strong and yeah, like I think that's why I've been having him ranked significantly above ADP. I think I still do have him ranked above ADP. Even when I just pushed him down. No, a little bit behind. But it's just like looking at the profiles that go around him. Honestly, it's like, why is he going so much before Aaron Jones? Because he hasn't, even though Aaron Jones hasn't had strong buzz in camp, like it's been very clear that he is part of the running back plans. I feel like Kenneth Gainwell is like a very similar bet to Aaron Jones, except I'm more afraid of Sean Tucker stealing stuff than I am DeMond Claiborne. So that's a point in Aaron Jones' favor. I think that Jordan Mason's a significantly worse back than Bucky Irving. And I think that the total running back share is going to be relatively similar between the two teams. So why would I take Kenny Gainwell over Aaron Jones? It's like injury risk and like youth. But I think it's enough. That's enough to like keep them similar, but not move Gainwell ahead of Jones in my mental model when I like sit down and think about it. That's my thought process. Yeah, he showed 20-point potential with in a different environment. I think that Aaron Jones, obviously throughout his career, has also shown 20-point potential. So, again, I think they're very similar. I think taking them around each other is probably correct. I think taking Gainwell way over is probably a bit frothy. This is almost certainly just Dobbins here, right? Jackson, Hurts, Tootin, Nakua, London Neighbors. Yeah, it's just J.K. Dobbins. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. Here we're looking at Jordan Mason over Rachaad White. I guess I should probably have it that way in my ranks. Much I don't really want it to be that way. Partially for an exposure balancing thing, and partly because Jordan Mason is looking like he's going to win the job, and Rachaad White is looking like he's going to lose the job. And I don't think that the running back pie is like going to be that different between the two of them. So I should probably have Mason over Rachaad White. These are the sorts of things that like actually getting into drafts like helps clarify the rankings. It's like, oh wait, should probably be it all the way up there. And like it's a huge jump over like a bunch of tiers of like quarterback and receiver, but it's not a huge jump in terms of where he's going relative to the other running backs. So I'm not as worried about it. Here we started Gibbs, Hall, Judkins, Collins, Luther Burden. I agree with Jalen Hurts. Absolutely. Get us that elite quarterback with the rushing upside in the ceiling. Kick now wants Godwin. I'm a bit worried about the Wise, and I want to be buying on this Rico camp hype, honestly. Like, I think Rico's a good player, and there's like shown that he can be efficient and shown that he can be relied upon. I think he has obvious upside if Warren was assigned, but just like also upside to like take over the running in that backfield. Yeah, I have 100% capitulated on JCM. I am happy to take him here. This is also like a great style of team for JCM to be on. So yeah, take him there. 15 spots ahead of ADP. Because that's what we got to do now. I have not capitulated that much on JCM. I would still rather have Reed and Harvey over him. I don't need Reed on a team where I already have Watson and Jacobs. That's probably over-indexing on Green Bay, so I'll grab RJ Harvey here and expect to grab JCM on the other side of this turn. Here we started Scatabo, St. Brown, Neighbors, Adams, Bowers. Kick says Marvin Harrison or Tony Pollard. I'm not taking either of those guys. I'm going to be taking a quarterback. But I will capitulate and say I'm taking a quarterback, but I'll take the quarterback you'd rather than the quarterback I want to take. Here we started with May and Hurts, Breece Hall, JCM, Chase London, Ted Roy McMillan, and Colston Loveland and Harold Fana. What an eclectic team. Definitely not taking a quarterback here, which means it's probably just Dobbs. Especially on this team, I'd much rather have Dobbs over Concepcion. I don't need quarterback. I don't need tight end. This is like a range of the draft where I want to be taking a bunch of quarterbacks and I want to be taking a bunch of tight ends. So I may take Concepcion on the way back anyways and just accept the week 11 bye. Sadness. We'll see. This draft started Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins. Could grab Christian Watson here. I think if we'll grab Tyler Warren, and then we'll take whatever receiver comes back to us. Receivers are flexible like that. Here we started Bowers, Warren, St. Brown, Flowers, Devontae Adams, and David Montgomery. Kick is saying you need more receivers, which is kind of crazy to me. Kick really does not like RJ Harvey right now, I'm guessing, because he's just not showing up at all. I could even be convinced to take Chuba Hubbard on this team. Trying to avoid any more Week 13 buys. throughout the rest of the team. Week 11 by clashes. Like, I can see why QJ hits the top of the list. I can understand that. But I'm going to go my goat, RJ Harvey. Here we're at 57. We started Chase Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, Garrett Wilson. We can either take Naked Lamar. Let's take JMO here. I've been trying to get more JMO. Seems like a good spot to grab JMO behind ADP. Some other good receivers. Yeah, it seems like a right call. Here we started Lamar, Josh Jacobs, Jalen Warren, RJ Harvey, Lamb, Waddle, and Brock Bowers. And Jordan Mason's at the top of the queue. I think I'll gladly take Jordan Mason here. I don't like my next receiver is like the Pittman Addison range, which I can get someone in that mold at my next pick. Diggsworthy, Golden, Wandale. Should be fine. So let's continue to round out the running back room. But yeah, no, I think again another good stream. Feel pretty good about that. It was nice to go through the rankings, futz with them a little bit, and yeah, should be back in about 8.5 hours. Well, that'd be 7 o'clock at night. Is going to be my hope 7 or 8 tonight for the second stream of the day, and it'll only be 2 today, which will be cool. Keep the rhythm nice. So thank you so much for dropping by, guys. Thanks if you see this on replay, and I will catch you tonight. Bye-bye.